What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors gets pushed past his limit? Live on air, in just 31 seconds, a single offhand remark turned a cheerful morning interview into one of the most unforgettable walkouts in television history. Tom Hardy had walked onto Lorraine that morning, expecting routine promotion, a few friendly questions, a laugh or two, a plug for his latest film. He'd done this 100 times before. Smile, answer, charm, move on. Easy, predictable. But this time, something was different. Lorraine Kelly greeted him with her trademark brightness as he took his seat on the couch. The studio lights blazed, the cameras rolled, and everything seemed perfectly normal. "Tom, lovely to have you here," she began, leaning forward. "Let's talk about your new film," Tom nodded, relaxed. He was proud of this project. It had cost him months of work, both physical and emotional. "It's a passion piece," he said. "We really wanted to tell this story right. The character goes through a lot, and I wanted to—" Yes, the character." Lorraine cut in with a laugh, waving her hand. "But when are you going to do a proper film? You know, something people actually want to see?" The studio fell silent. Tom blinked, unsure he'd heard correctly. "I'm sorry, what?" Lorraine chuckled as if it were all in good fun. "Oh, come on. All these dark, serious films you do, so depressing. Don't you ever want to do something light? Maybe a romantic comedy? Show us that smile." Tom's expression barely changed, but something behind his eyes shifted. "The film I'm here to talk about," he said evenly, "is something I care deeply about. It deals with real issues, things people actually live through. But nobody wants to be sad at the cinema." Lorraine interrupted again. "People want to escape. You're always so brooding, so intense. It's exhausting, really." Tom inhaled slowly. "Stay professional. Don't take the bait. I think audiences are smart enough to appreciate different kinds of stories," he said. "Not everything has to be light and fluffy." Lorraine laughed, cutting him off again. "Tom, darling, I've been in this business longer than you've been alive. I know what works. And these gloomy little films you keep making, they don't. They're boring." The word boring landed like a slap. Millions were watching. Tom's voice stayed calm. "I respect your opinion," he said quietly. "But I'm proud of the work I do." "Are you, though?" she pressed, reclining back in her chair. "Because it feels like you're hiding behind all these tough guy roles. Maybe you're not confident enough to show real charm, real personality." The words hung in the air. Even the crew behind the cameras froze. Tom looked at her, really looked at her. "Lorraine," he said slowly, "I came here to talk about a film that means a lot to me, and to the people who made it. If that's not a conversation you're interested in having, then I'm not sure why I'm here." "Oh, don't be so sensitive," she scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "I'm just asking what everyone's thinking. You take yourself so seriously. It's a bit much, isn't it?" That was the moment. Something in Tom hardened. "You know what?" he said quietly. "I don't think everyone's thinking that. I think that's just you." For a split second, Lorraine's smile faltered, but she recovered with practiced ease. "Touched a nerve, have I? Look, Tom, if you can't handle a simple question without getting defensive, maybe you should stick to acting and leave the talking to people who are better at it." That was the final line. Tom stood, not angrily, not theatrically, just steady, deliberate. "I'm not doing this," he said, reaching up to unclip his microphone. "Tom, don't be ridiculous," Lorraine said quickly, her tone suddenly less sure. "We're just having a chat," he shook his head. "No, we're not having a chat. You're insulting me, and my work, and I'm not gonna sit here and let that happen." The room stayed silent as he placed the mic on the couch, gave a brief nod to the crew, and walked off set. The broadcast cut to a commercial, but by then, the moment had already gone viral. Lorraine's voice rose, sharp and defensive. trying to pull the moment back under control. "I'm asking you questions, Tom. That's what interviews are." Tom looked at her steadily. "No," he said, his tone calm but cutting. "This isn't a conversation. This is you trying to belittle me for your own entertainment. And I'm done." He placed the microphone gently on the arm of the couch. Every movement deliberate, controlled, professional to the end. "Tom, you're being completely unprofessional," Lorraine snapped, her pleasant morning show warmth vanishing in an instant. Tom paused, met her eyes one last time and said simply, "Watch me." Then he stood, not in anger, not for drama, just with quiet finality. He walked past the cameras, past the stunned crew, head held high. The studio fell into stunned silence. Lorraine sat frozen, the reality of what had just happened slowly dawning on her. She'd pushed too far, and she knew it. Well, she began awkwardly, trying to salvage the moment. "I suppose some people can't handle an honest conversation." But her voice wavered. The mask was slipping. The confidence was gone. Everyone in that studio knew exactly what had happened. She hadn't asked honest questions. She'd crossed a line. She'd mocked, undermined, and humiliated a guest who'd come in good faith. And now the world had seen him walk away with dignity while she floundered on live TV. Behind the scenes, chaos erupted. Producers were scrambling, cutting to commercials, whispering frantic instructions through earpieces, trying to fill the dead air. Lorraine's earpiece buzzed with urgent voices. "Go to break! Go to break!" Meanwhile, Tom was already down the hallway, his publicist waiting with a mix of fury and pride. "You okay?" she asked quietly. Tom nodded once. "I'm fine. Let's go." Back in the studio, Lorraine forced a brittle smile as cameras came back on. "We'll take a quick break," she said, her voice tight. "And when we return, we'll have a cooking segment." But no one cared about the cooking segment. No one even heard her words. Everyone, crew, audience, viewers at home, was replaying what they'd just witnessed. A masterclass in self-respect, because Tom Hardy hadn't lost his temper. He hadn't shouted or insulted or lashed out. He'd simply drawn a line and refused to let someone cross it. He'd arrived on time, polite, prepared, professional. He'd done everything right. It was Lorraine who had turned a standard interview into a spectacle, pushing, mocking, and needling him until he'd had enough. From the very first dismissive comment about his work, she'd set the tone. Every smirk, every belittling remark chipped away at the veneer of professionalism until the truth showed through. She wasn't interviewing him. She was trying to diminish him, and Tom refused to play along. He gave her every chance to back down. When she called his films boring, when she mocked his seriousness, when she told him to lighten up, he stayed calm, respectful, steady. But when she told him he wasn't confident enough for real acting, when she questioned his very ability, she crossed from rude to cruel. She wasn't provoking insight. She was provoking humiliation. And that's when Tom Hardy, one of Hollywood's most respected, least performative men, showed what quiet strength looks like. No shouting, no scene, just a simple refusal. "I'm not doing this." The moment he stood, you could see the fear flicker in Lorraine's eyes. The power had shifted. She'd lost control of her own show, and everyone could see it. All her years of experience, her reputation for charm and composure. It evaporated in an instant, because she'd forgotten the one rule every interviewer should know. Your guest is a human being, not a prop for your punchlines. Her desperate attempt to regain control, calling him ridiculous, unprofessional, only made it worse, because everyone watching knew the truth. The only unprofessional person in that studio was her. By the time the show cut to its next segment, the damage was done. Clips of the confrontation were already circulating online. Hashtags forming, memes spreading. And while Lorraine's PR team scrambled to spin the story, Tom Hardy didn't need to say a word. He'd already made his statement. By walking away. He didn't fight for the last word. He didn't need to. The silence he left behind said everything. From the moment he sat down, it was clear Lorraine had come looking for a fight. Maybe she thought it would make good television. Maybe she was having one of those mornings. Or maybe she genuinely believed that mocking an acclaimed actor's work counted as journalism. Whatever the reason, she decided to use her platform not to interview, but to undermine. Big mistake. Because Tom Hardy wasn't a newcomer trying to prove himself. He wasn't there out of desperation for publicity or goodwill. He didn't need the interview. The show needed him. So when she pushed, he didn't play along. He didn't smile, didn't fawn, didn't let her chip away at his dignity. He simply stood up. That calm, quiet act said more than any argument ever could. Lorraine had wanted a viral moment. Something she could control. Something that made her look clever and in command. She got her viral moment, all right. Just not the one she'd imagined. Instead of the smug clip she'd pictured. Tom looking rattled, awkward, defensive. The world got a clip of him at his best. Calm, grounded, done. The contrast was brutal. Tom still and steady, speaking with purpose. Lorraine, frantic, stumbling to regain control of a situation she'd single-handedly destroyed. When he said, "Watch me," and walked out, it was cinematic. A perfect ending. No shouting, no drama, just truth. Lorraine's attempt to twist it, pretending he couldn't handle honest conversation, fell flat instantly. Everyone watching could see through it. That wasn't honest conversation. That was humiliation disguised as charm. And Tom Hardy had refused to play the fool. In the hallway, away from the lights and cameras, Tom probably felt a mix of emotions. The adrenaline of confrontation, the sting of disrespect, and the deep relief that comes from reclaiming your peace. His publicist was already on the phone, no doubt fielding calls, drafting statements, preparing for the headlines. But Tom didn't need to worry about spin. He'd made the right call, and everyone knew it. He'd drawn a line, and he'd done it without losing his temper. He'd reminded everyone watching that you don't have to endure disrespect just because you're on live TV. The interview was supposed to last 10 minutes. It didn't even reach 4. 4 minutes from polite greetings to silence that could be felt across the room. 4 minutes for Lorraine to burn her credibility. 4 minutes for Tom Hardy to give a lesson in grace under fire. Looking back, every one of Lorraine's comments built toward that moment. The patronizing jabs, the dismissive tone, the smug laughter, each one chipped away at any illusion of professionalism. She dismissed his film as not proper, called his work depressing, questioned his confidence, mocked his seriousness, accused him of hiding behind tough guy roles. She wasn't interviewing him. She was provoking him. And for what? Ratings? A headline? Tom had done nothing wrong. He'd shown up on time, been kind to the crew, ready to talk about a film he cared deeply about. He'd done his job. She hadn't done hers. So when he left, it wasn't a tantrum. It was clarity. He didn't owe her his patience. He didn't owe her a performance. When she crossed the line, he simply removed himself. That's not unprofessional. That's self-respect. The moment she laughed, that patronizing, condescending laugh, the whole tone of the interview shifted. She thought she was in control, that she was the clever one. But when Tom called it out, "You're insulting me and my work," the illusion shattered. Her desperate attempt to reframe it as just a chat only made her look smaller, because everyone could see it for what it was, and that's what made Tom's walkout so powerful. Its simplicity. No lecture, no explosion, no showmanship. Just the quiet act of saying no. It was a reminder to everyone watching. You don't have to smile through disrespect. You don't have to accept being diminished for someone else's entertainment. You can simply walk away. And Lorraine's attempt to call him unprofessional? Almost laughable. She'd spent 4 minutes tearing down a guest, mocking his work, ignoring his boundaries. And the moment he stood up for himself, she tried to claim the moral high ground. But Tom saw through it. Everyone did. Watch me. 2 words that said everything. I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to explain. I'm leaving. And that's all the answer you get. In that instant, Lorraine lost every ounce of power. The host, the supposed authority, sat helpless as her guest reclaimed his. She tried to smile, tried to smooth it over, but her voice trembled. The mask had slipped. The audience knew. They'd seen the truth, the imbalance, the disrespect, the quiet dignity with which Tom had handled it all, and they admired him for it. Because when you stand up for yourself without losing your calm, without shouting, without lowering yourself, people notice. They respect it. Tom Hardy walked off that set with his reputation intact. Stronger even. Lorraine Kelly, on the other hand, was left sitting in the ruins of her own making, fumbling for excuses. The interview was supposed to be about his new film, about art, storytelling, craft. Instead, it became something far more memorable, a story about boundaries, about respect, about knowing exactly when to walk away, and that, more than any viral clip or headline, is a story worth telling.